Hello YouTube. So I've got myself a new project. I really like Bolo knives. I like the idea of a sharp, heavy, short blade that's somewhere between a machete and a combat knife that you can carry with you in the field. So I was messing around on eBay and I came across this beat up little gem. And this little gem is a model 1917 Bolo knife. I don't know if you can see the markings there, but see if I can get those. What it's supposed to say is US model 1917. You see it? And this one was manufactured by the AC company, Chicago, 1918. So, needless to say, this knife needs a lot of work. This is exactly how it came out of the box. Bent, dirty, dull. I mean, really dull. I don't know if you can see this edge, but on one edge there's a lot of weird grinding going on. And the other edge is pretty decent. The tip is, well, rounded. There's no major nicks in it. But of course the wooden grips came wrapped in tape. So I'm going to take this tape off, see what these wooden grips look like. Wow, this is old cloth tape. It's been on here a long time. I see. There's no screw in it. And there's a big crack. Yeah, the tape's starting to come apart. Alright, so if any of you experts out there know where I can get a screw for this, let me know. Yep, these grips have definitely seen better days. Of course, I guess that's to be expected from a 98-year-old knife. Yeah, big cracks. Yeah, this one doesn't have a grip screw either. Alright, so now we understand why there's tape on it. Oh yeah, big cracks. I can see I'm going to wind up possibly building some of the old, looks like old wood roach. This one's on there a little bit better, kind of stuck on by the bent hilt. Alright, well, fuss with that. Oh, here we go. Alright, well, at least there's enough left of those blades, I mean of those grip panels, that I can use them as a template. So, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a ordnance bomb stamp on there. Right here. So please forgive me for doing this out in the shop. or you have to listen to my chicks that we recently hatched out. All the other noises going on around me. If we have any Model 1917 Bolo experts out there who want to give me some advice, I'm willing to take it. I guess that's all for now. Thanks. Okay, so here's the grip scales from that 1917 Bolo knife. Finally got them off. This one here was completely cracked in half. So what I did was I took both of them and I soaked them for 2 weeks in wood hardener. So if you don't know what wood hardener is, it's what we use to stabilize wood, like, you know, burley maple and stuff like that. So the yellow tape on there is electrician's tape, because what I've done is I've epoxied the grip, because it was completely cracked all the way down into 2 pieces. So I've epoxied it, and I put this electrician's tape on it because the electrician's tape stretches really well and forms a nice tight seal. But the problem I have now is this big crack up here at the top. So I think what I'm going to do is open this crack up a little bit, and I'm going to take a piece of this scrap black walnut that I have laying around, because I have black walnut trees growing on my property, and I hit it with some dark stain just to see what it'll look like. I think what I'm going to do is open it up and put a piece of this black walnut in there to close that gap a little bit and see what happens. At this point, there's not much more I can do to these grip scales besides just trash them. They're pretty nasty from having tape all over them. I cleaned them up the best that I could without hurting them. They're kind of punky from being so old, so that's why I soaked them in the wood hardener to kind of stabilize them a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do with the grip scales. Okay, so here's the result of cutting a piece of black walnut to fit that gap. Now I'm going to epoxy it in place. Sand it, finish sanding it down, and then we'll see how she looks. Here's the grip after I opened it up. Put a brand new piece of black walnut in it, epoxied it down, and stained it. Now I stained it really heavily because I wanted to match the old dark stain. So we'll see how it turns out. Okay, so here they are, all finished up. This was the one that wasn't broken. It still has the original steel escutcheons in it. This one never had, apparently, or if it did, they were taken out long ago, the brass attachment. So up here at the top, it's hard to see, there's a little bit of light reflecting on it. You can see where I sliced it. There's a good view right there. And put in a new piece of black walnut and stained it. So you just about can't tell that it's there. The glue, this is the line from the glue. I'll clean that off, but you can just barely tell by looking at these grips that there was ever anything wrong with them, besides the fact that they're 98 years old. So now for the test to put them on the knife. Okay, so here we are at the end of this little project. In the end, I think it turned out okay. You can still see where I replaced that piece. The little brass locks locked down nice and tight in there. You can still kind of see that where that crack was. I put some new screws in it and cut them down to fit. Use some red Loctite, which is something I recommend if you guys, I mean, with red Loctite, they'll probably never come out. So I cleaned it up. You can really see the markings on it now. And turns out that this is a CT. So there's a model 1917 and model 1917 CT. And the CTs were much rougher. And it shows. So these are the original grips. And as you can see, not exactly examples of fine American craftsmanship. Much more, examples of fine American production in a hurry because there's a war. It does appear there's an ordnance bomb right there. I don't know if you can see that or not. And there is one on the handle. Right there. Kind of hard to see. So, remember what this looked like when I first got it. This was the hilt was bent. It's still bent, but I straightened it as well as I could. And quite frankly, this is never going to be a beautiful piece of equipment. It was never intended to be a beautiful piece of equipment. You can tell by the grind marks from the factory that whoever did this was just in a hurry. And so I picked up the knife in its dirty, original condition, with taped on handles and and a big crack, a couple of big cracks, for I think $65. So that's not bad. And I was able to turn it into a piece of equipment that somebody else had completely given up on, and turn it back into a historic piece of equipment. And I also picked up a scabbard for it, a sheath. This one is also dated 1918. It's AK Company, 1918, BHS. And what's interesting about this piece, once I got it, I realized, that's green. So, I've had some World War II, World War I, and World War II British webbing in the past. You can see this is the original tan color. And in order to make their webbing match, because it came in all different colors, the British would put a coating on the canvas that was called Blanco. So this US model 1917 Bolo knife sheath has been Blancoed in the British manner. I don't know what that means. Does it mean that it was issued to British troops? Does it mean that somewhere along the line some US GIs picked up some Blanco and they thought that was a good idea? I don't know what that means. But at the end of the day, what I wind up with is a complete model 1918 Bolo knife in much, much better shape than it was when I first got it. So, I hope you enjoyed that journey with me. And if you have any comments, I'd like to hear them. If you have any sources for, equipment, correct screws and stuff like that, right grip panels, I'd love to hear it, because what I didn't tell you is I have another one. So, this one is a plum, and it's also marked US model 1917. It doesn't say CT, but if it did, you couldn't see it. This one was misstamped. It's stamped twice, plum. St. Louis, of course, all you can see is St. LO, and then you can barely see the 19 where somebody ground on it. And this appears to be solder, where the hilt was soldered on. Although, quite frankly, I'm not sure it ever had grips on it. So this might be a factory second, or something along those lines. You can see that the grinding is different on this blade. It's actually a little bit better. It's not perfect, but it has two edges, where the other one had one misground, misshapen edge, and then a very slight edge on the other side. So this is my next project. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I like bolo knives, obviously, so I might just take this and turn it into something a little more customized than your standard military issue bolo knife. But again, any comments, suggestions, sources for good parts, I'm all ears. So thanks for taking this journey with me. Please like and subscribe, and like I said, please leave your comments. Thanks. Bye.